Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Ako ay si Attorney Hilario L. Ayuban, first-termer Municipal Mayor ng Luway, Bohol. Today, I will presenting to you the best practice of our town in relation po sa pandemic na ating kinakaharap ngayon, ang COVID-19. Aside from the usual giving of food packs, distribution of the SAP from the national government, distribution of the SAP of our version in the local government unit, strict implementation of the health protocols, ang pagtanggap po ng mga LSIs, OFWs at APOR, the best practice that we were able to implement in our town, sa tingin po namin, ay ang Balay Tinabangay sa Luway.
The municipality of Luway is situated in the southwestern coast of Bohol, 18 kilometers from the city of Tagbilaran, which is the province capital. Luway is a fifth-class municipality. We have 24 barangays, 13 of which are in the coastal area. The major agricultural products of our town are copra, rice, banana, and root crops. The major source of income of our people are farming, fishing. Some also are engaged in business and trading, carpentry, and in the tourism industry. Basing on the 2015 census, Luway has a population of 16,691 and has 3,562 households and families. Our annual income is just a little bit more than 17 million pesos. We are receiving the share from the national government, or what we call the internal revenue allotment, in the amount of less than 80 million pesos for this year 2020. Luway also has 14 schools, 2 of which are secondary schools, 1 a public school and 1 a private high school. We have 25 daycare centers because there is 1 barangay which has 2 daycare centers. And Luway has a land area of 48.24 square kilometers. What is Luway known for? The famous landmark of our town is the Blood Compact. The original site of the Blood Compact, known as the First International Treaty of Peace and Friendship between General Miguel Lopez de Legazpi of Spain and Dato Sicatuna, the chieftain of Bohol, took place in Luway. The National Historical Institute ruled that instead of the Blood Compact site as Bohol Tagbilaran City, it actually took place in Hinawanan, Luway, Bohol, 17 kilometers east of the city. After thorough investigation and interviews conducted by the National Historical Institute from divers, fisherfolks, and residents of both Tagbilaran and Luway, including documents presented by both sides, the NHI concluded that the blood compact between Sicatuna and Legazpi actually took place in flagship San Pedro that was anchored off Hinawanan Bay, or the waters of Luway, on March 25, 1565. The finding was contained in a Resolution Number 4, Series of 2005, entitled the Resolution Adopting the Recommendation of the Panel Resolving the Site of the Blood Compact between Sicatuna and Legazpi. That's why the National Historical Institute has placed a marker of sandugo, the proof that it was indeed in Luway based on the evidences found and fit to the description written in the book entitled Colección de Documentos de Ultramar. It was in this book that General Legazpi's expedition was written and recorded, the deep well between 2 rivers. It was named as Sicatuna's Well, built around 1200 AD, and until now is still existing and can be seen at Hinawanan, Luway, Bohol. In this well, The men of General Legazpi fetched water from and bought in their galleon. We have also the Himontagon Hills. Himontagon Hills are a group of hills located in Barangay Butok of Luwai. The hill is a very scenic place overlooking the Bohol Sea. Little by little, Himontagon Hills is gaining attention to more Boholanos and tourists alike due to its scenic surrounding. This is an ideal spot for hikers and nature lovers. During clear weather, Mount Hibok-Hibok in Camiguin is very visible. Our town has also some historical sites. We have the very old Catholic stone church, the watchtower, or what we call the Punta Baluarte. We have also the Clarin Ancestral House, all declared by the National Historical Institute as historical sites. Luwai has also very popular backyard industry, the bolo making or the blacksmith. Bolos are used as an implement in farming and wood cutting. A number of Luwayanos have engaged as blacksmiths or panday and have become experts in the trade using manual and improvised equipment. Luwai is a popular source of the crafted bolos in Bohol. Luwai is also blessed with a clean river. That is why river cruise or floating restaurant is famous in our town. The cruise along the stretch of the Luwai-Lubok River in Luwai town features a musician entertaining guests on board of the floating restaurant. A delectable buffet is served and guests can eat to their heart's content. It is also the best to enjoy the riverscape, letting the eyes rest on the green nipa leaves, on the river banks, and listening to the tranquil waters and the calm breeze, or the chirping of birds and sounds from other insects. Aside from the beautiful spots, Luay is also known to have produced two senators in the Republic of the Philippines. We had Senators Olegario B. Clarin Sr. and the Senate President pro tempore Jose A. Clarin. Basing from the CBMS 2014-2015 data, there are 1,823 households in Luwai with income below the poverty threshold. And basing again from the same data, there are 53 households with makeshift walls or roof in our town. And that was in 2014. And I'm pretty sure that for this year, they are more than 100 already. Basing also from the same CBMS census, there are 106 households living in public places or in land not owned by them. This story, the initiative, the program that we are going to share with you today is the Balay Tinabangay. During this crucial time of a global pandemic where everyone is mandated to stay at home, napakahirap po na i-challenge, i-convince yung mga tao to stay at their respective houses if in the first place, wala po silang quote-unquote bahay na matutuluyan. This started when a certain widow, a senior citizen, came to our office and asked for her share of the SAP. Hindi niya naintindihan na dahil siya ay isang 4-piece beneficiary, automatic po napapasok ang kanyang SAP sa kanyang ATM. I asked her, Lola, why are you roaming around? You should have stayed at home dahil po COVID tayo. And her answer that really caught our attention, touched our hearts when she said, paano ako makastay ng bahay kung sira-sira yung bahay namin? That's why I asked my staff to visit her house and took a picture of it. We posted it in our official Facebook page of our municipality, the One Luwai FB page. And the story of that Lola caught the attention of everybody. She was Lola Betty. Her case, the post on the Facebook, provoked a lot of discussion in the social media. Lola Betty became a widow when her husband was killed in 1988. She's already 68 years old and is taking care of her 4 grandchildren. She earns her living by cleaning the houses and yards of other people. The mother of the kids, her daughter-in-law, died 2 years ago, and the father, her son, is in Bulacan seeking work, caught in the lockdown. Thus, Lola Betty now becomes the sole breadwinner who survives on scanty income, if there's any client, and the meager government subsidy, the 4 piece. Kaya po, the LGU took the initiative to help Lola Betty more than the SAP that she received. That's why we offered to build a simple but a decent house to Lola Betty. The story of Lola Betty, however, is not an isolated one. She is just among the hundreds in our municipality, or even thousands, if not millions, throughout the Philippines. Sila yung mga family that really deserves and needs the help of the government. Kaya nung pumunta siya sa office, we extended not just the financial and cash assistance, but even more. It escalated into a much more heartwarming project called Balay Tinabangay sa Luway. What is Balay Tinabangay? Balay Tinabangay is a compound word. Balay means a house or home. Tinabangay is a Visayan word coming from the root word tabang, which means help. Tinabangay then means to help together as a community. Balay Tinabangay refers to the spirit of unity and cooperation among Luwayanos, most especially in these challenging times. A collective effort practicing the Bayanihan culture, wherein men have to leave their families and offer their services for free for house construction. Balay Tinabangay is a heartwarming program in Luway, embodying the Bayanihan spirit in the context of cooperation in the modern times, which was launched last April 30, 2020. Ang main goal po ng Balay Tinabangay is to effectively provide a simple and decent shelter to qualified beneficiary in order to have a safe, secured, and healthy environment, thereby improving their overall quality of life. Yung mga objectives po natin, number 1 is to build at least one house per month, thereby increasing access to improved shelter. Number 2, to outsource budgetary allocations and financial support through linkages and collaborations with NGOs and people's organizations. Number 3, to ignite community discourse, engagement, and participation among stakeholders. And number 4, to build the trust and confidence of citizens through online data management and information dissemination. Para po ma-institutionalize ang Balay Tinabangay, which was concepted and was born because of the COVID-19. The Sangguniang Bayan of Luway, seeing upon the beauty of the program, they immediately passed an ordinance institutionalizing the Balay Tinabangay program in the municipality of Luway. Ano po yung salient features ng ordinance? para po may continuity kahit po hindi na tayo yung namamalakad sa ating lungsod is there is the continuity of the program. Through the ordinance, there is the creation of the interagency board na siya pong nagsusupervise ng program. There is po the allocation, a small budget para po mag-spark or parang stimulus para po makapag-start ng program. At the same time, makakita din ng parang inspiration yung mga tao to contribute. I, as the municipal mayor, I also issued an executive order basing on the ordinance, creating the board that will spearhead the program. Sa board po, we ask the help of the private sectors. That's why this combination, ito po ay pagtutulungan ng mga tao sa local government unit of Balay and the well-meaning citizens sa private sector to collaborate and to help each other to realize the program. Sa organization and management, of course, we have the board which spearheads the program, of course, headed by the municipal mayor. And we have the linkages with the private sectors and individuals. And below that, we have the 24 barangay captains of the 24 barangays in our municipality. It's very important also to ask the cooperation and support and to include the barangay officials kasi this is a community-based program. Kaya dapat po lahat ay ma-involve. And below us are the participating families. What are the rules and functions of the board po? It's number one, it's to formulate the policies and guidelines in the implementation of the Balay Tinabangay. It's number two, to enable all the program stakeholders to participate in planning and implementation. Number three, to integrate, maximize available resources from collaborating entities for the construction or repair of the Balay Tinabangay. Number four, conduct monitoring and evaluation in the implementation of the program. Number five, to conduct documentation, either pictorials or video, to be uploaded in our One Luay FB page. With one purpose, for transparency and to encourage the stakeholders to contribute and to join. It is also the obligation and the duty of the board to oversee the implementation of the program. Number seven, to establish a network with other NGOs and agencies. Number eight, to extend technical assistance. Number nine, to maintain, to prepare all the necessary documents and records on all the financial transaction of the program. And number 10, will oversee, supervise, and coordinate the implementation of the program. Ano po yung specific responsibility ng LGU or the local government unit, yung lungsod namin? Number one, the LGU, through the ordinance, will give the counterpart of not less than 15,000 pesos po per house. Number two, through the municipal engineer, will provide the design and plan of the balay. We have a uniform house design and plan. May living room, may dalawang silid tulugan, a CR, and a small kitchen po. The LGU will also, through the board, will supervise the construction of the house. Will assist in securing the lot for the family beneficiary if the latter have none. Of the 5 houses that we have constructed, dalawa po yung walang lupa, sariling lupa. That's why with our help, we ask well-meaning citizens in their barangays to donate small piece of land para po matayuan ng bahay. And the response was very positive. Kaya yung dalawang bahay, ang lupa po doon ay donated po ng mga tao. We also the one who provides skilled workers and carpenters for the construction of the balay. We only hired 2 skilled workers, the carpenters at isang labor. Ang lahat po ng labor ay galing na yun sa mga tao, mostly from the government officials. Yung tatlo lang talaga yung hired ng LGU. At number 7, the LGU should encourage private citizens' participation of the program. Ano naman po yung role ng local government unit yung barangay? As we said earlier, this is a community-based program. In fact po, kung sino po yung mag-nominate, kung sinong family ang beneficiary, that comes from the barangay. Basing on the ordinance, the local government unit ng barangay has to submit at least 5 economically challenged families in the barangays. And out of those 5 submitted target beneficiary, doon po pipili yung board through the Dswd sa validation kung sino talaga yung beneficiary. So the barangay will also assist in providing additional manpower, the labor, in the construction of the balay. They also provide lumber. Pag yung family po ay walang kahoy or lumber, the barangay will help for the construction of the house. And they're also the one providing snacks for the carpenters and laborers. The implementation of Balay Tinabangay has its program components or its planning process. We have the social preparation, the actual construction of the house, the turnover of the house to the beneficiary, and fourth po yung fund management. Sa social preparation, through the board, we called the meeting with the 24 barangays. We explained to them the program so that there will be also a positive response from them. Kasi in the selection of the family beneficiary, may malaking role din po yung barangay council. They are the one who will submit the list of the target beneficiary. 3 to 5 families, sila po yung less privileged. Sila yung economically challenged sa kanilang barangay. They will submit it to the board. And the board, through the Municipal Social Welfare Office, will conduct a validation on the 3 to 5 target families beneficiaries. And in selecting kung sino talaga yung final beneficiary na mapagtayuan ng bahay, we have also some guidelines. Number 1 is the financial capacity of the family, the work, the income of the family members. Second, the number of minor children in the family. Third, kung mayroon bang PWD member ng family. And fourth, the presence of senior citizens in the family. At least we have the basis po kung sino talaga yung mapapagtayuan ng bahay. And after we have already validated and we have already chosen the beneficiary, doon na po nag-pooling of funds. Again, there is a commitment from the local government unit ng 15,000 pesos and all the rest po already coming from the private sectors. Yung bahay po natin has an estimated value of 100,000 pesos. Hindi pa po kasama yung value ng lumber. Kasi lahat po ng lumber ay mostly donated either from the beneficiary, and if wala po silang lumber, they are coming from the private individuals. Kaya yung difference po ng 85,000 pesos, they mostly come from the private sectors. Of the 5 houses that we had built, actually po yung Kalola Betty lang po yung napakaraming mga donors because of the post on the social media. And after the house of Lola Betty, yung second, yung third, yung fourth, at saka yung fifth house po, they were all sponsored. Meaning, seeing the beauty of the program, maraming mga private citizens of Luwai living in our municipality or abroad who pledged and offered to build one house po. Kaya po parang naging magaan yung implementation ng program. And modesty aside, yung sixth house for this November, seventh house in December, eighth house in January, ninth house in February, and tenth house in March. There are already committed sponsors po para sa 5 houses to be built from November to March. And after the pooling of funds and commitment sharing, we have of course, the site validation, the inspection, and of course, with the technical assistance from the engineering department, because they were the one who made the uniform plan po ng bahay. Yung stage 2 is yung construction. Of course, we have the delivery of materials inside, and to make sure na makahanap tayo ng pinakamura, of course, quality na mga materials, is nag-canvas po tayo sa lahat ng stores in the municipality that are selling house materials po. And we make sure na quality at saka lowest price po yung makuha natin. And second is the supervision and monitoring, and joint supervision and monitoring by the municipality po and the barangay government officials. And the third component is the turnover and house blessing. Just like the old culture of Bayanihan, after neighbors and friends gave their service in the house construction free of charges, and as a form of gratitude also, the owner of the house offers a simple feast. But actually po yung nangyari, yung 5 houses na na-build natin during sa blessing, lahat po din ng mga kinakain namin during the turnover and the blessing, galing po sa mga tao, sa mga neighbors. They offered, they bring in foods, pagkain, at para pong pinagsasalusaluhan po ng lahat. And during also the turnover ceremony, we also ask the beneficiary to make a commitment, a promise. Number one po is really to preserve the house, pag-ingatan po nila yung bahay. Second, to cooperate in the program in the barangay and in the LGU. And most especially, yung pong pagsunod po ng mga health protocols sa COVID. And number 3, if para bang a challenge also, na if their life will be better in the future, if they have the opportunity to help po, sana po they can also extend their hands to help those in need. And number 4, yung fund management. We made sure that all the funds will be accounted for. Again, of the 100,000 pesos ng budget ng bahay, hindi pa kasama yung lumber dahil mostly yung donated. 15,000 comes from the government fund, and the 85,000 more or less comes from the private sectors. So, pinupool po namin lahat. And in the second and the fifth houses that we had built, yun po lahat ay sponsored na po. And finally, the most important component in the credibility of the program is the accounting and the accountability. We made sure that down to the last centavo po will be accounted for. Kaya lahat po ng nagdo-donate, we posted it in our Facebook. Kahit na yung nagsasabing hindi magpakilala or anonymous, We made sure na ma-describe po yung anonymous, at least ma-total po natin at ma-sum up po yung lahat ng mga donations. In that way, we can also convince well-meaning citizens to really contribute kasi po their money will really be accounted for at talagang mapupunta po sa Balay, Tinabangay. And the final component po is yung monitoring and evaluation. We made it sure na mayroon ding regular po na monitoring coming from our Dswd in the municipal level. Kasi hindi natin gusto na ma-build lang natin yung bahay, tapos hindi na natin alam kung how do they take care of the house at kung talaga ba pong nag-aaral po yung mga bata, yung mga parents were they responsible in taking care of the children. We make sure that yung mga promises po nila during the blessing will really be realized and will become true. And of course, we also provide regular feedbacking po and reporting. Under the umbrella of Balay Tinabangay is the Balay Tinarungay program. What is this? From the Visayan root word tarong, which means to repair, the local government unit also engages in the program of repairing the houses. Kasi napakaraming sira-sira talagang bahay sa bayan namin. At dahil yung Balay Tinabangay can only afford one house every month, meaning 12 houses in a year, to maximize the beneficiary families na matulungan po ng LGU. That's why we also engage in Balay Tinarungay. We provided house materials and even labor po. Payment po ng labor pag yung family wala talagang pambayad. For the record, for the span of 5 to 6 months in the implementation of the program, we had built 5 new houses and repaired more than 10 houses po under the Balay Tinabangay and Balay Tinarungay. The greatest challenge that we are facing really in the future, I think, is the continuity or the financial capacity po ng LGU to sustain the program. The LGU cannot afford to allocate millions of pesos for this program kasi marami po yung problema din ng bayan namin. So the main question is, hanggang saan po yung tulong ng mga taong bayan? Modesty aside, with the kind of leadership, with the kind of transparency, accountability, and the unity among officials sa lungsod po namin, I'm very positive that we can sustain it. We can sustain the program. I really emphasize unity because we come from different political parties. But since we assumed office, especially on this program, parang nagkaisa po talaga po yung mga officials ng aming bayan. Nagtutulungan po. Maybe the main possible questions po sa ibang nakikinig kung kaya ba pong ma-replicate ang programa sa ibang bayan. I think it's very much applicable also to the other LGUs. Of course, I'm referring to the low-income municipalities kasi parang yung mga syudad, parang hindi naman siguro problema nila yung financial capacity. Pero sa mga 4th class, 5th class municipalities, can this be replicated? I think so. I think so. The main ingredient of the program is really the community participation. If one can show a true leadership, parang serbisyong totoo, wala kang pinipili talaga, you can show to the people na parang lahat down to the last centavo is being accounted for. There is a planning, a consultation, an evaluation. There is a unity among the officials. You can gain the support from the barangay officials, to gain the trust of the people, I think it's very easy to replicate the program because the main component of it is the cooperation of the people, is the support, it's the trust in you. So if you can show that kind of leadership that is very transparent and it's very trustworthy, it's not impossible to replicate. Tapos suportahan mo lang po 'yon ng mga linkages, mga ordinances, resolution. In Luwai, despite the being a fifth class municipality, we were able to provide assistance to the people. Several food packs have been distributed. Tulong namin sa mga distressed locally stranded individuals, 3,000 pesos. Lahat ng mga frontliners, we were able to give 2,000 pesos each. We have also the local version of the SAP. Yung lahat po ng households na hindi naka-receive ng 6,000 pesos from the national government, we were able to provide 3,000 pesos po per household, yung version po ng local SAP namin. That's why in Luwai, gone were the days when the people are divided, the officials are divided. In Luwai, we have the saying, we have just one dream, we have one people, we are one Luwai. Sa lahat po ng nakikinig, maraming salamat po.